So with these you're going to reach around to the side, open up the chest, and get those hands as high as you can. You should feel a little stretch in the abs as you do this as well. These next ones are German swings, so feel those arms flicking back behind you and over the top. I'm not actually sure what these are called, but I call them Kevin and Perry's because you just kind of swing your arms around like a stroppy teenager. They feel pretty good, and you get that little bit of rotation in the thoracic and lumbar from swinging those arms around like that. Next we're going to go hip circles. Take these as wide as possible, really try and push into the corners. That's really where you get the most benefit from these. So once you're on 5 one direction, do 5 in the other direction. So don't rush them, try and get the most out of these. So once you've done these, we're going to move on to kind of a modified Jefferson curl. Obviously we've got no weights, just body weight for now, but you're going to reach up over the top, feel that back and spine open up, and then get your hands on the floor. Now if you're beginning, you're not very flexible, it might just be that you get your fingertips to shin level. That's absolutely fine. If you're really advanced, you might actually want to reach with your hands behind you, or try and get the back of your hands on the floor. You notice with those that I'm kind of rolling my spine. Now with these, I'm going side to side, staying nice and loose. I'm actually trying to get a little bit of rotation at the hip. That internal rotation and flexion is kind of a piece that a lot of people are missing from their mobility. So we're actually going to keep the legs straight, take them out wide, and keep the back straight. So the focus is on keeping the chest up with these and keeping a nice straight back. All the movement comes from the hips. You should feel that kind of lower back just isometrically contracting to keep that nice straight shape. Now we're going to get those legs straight, reach down and touch the ground. Again, we're kind of bending from the hips, a little bit of thoracic rotation with these. So as you go side to side, try and keep the back relatively straight, and the bulk of this movement comes from the hips. Once you've done those, we're going to start in a sumo stance, so get low, and we're just going to start shifting side to side. Don't go straight away with the straight leg, we're just going to gradually work our way out there. You see here I'm actually using my hands to kind of support a little bit of weight. It's more important that I get this stretch than I use this as a strengthening exercise. So you see I've gone all the way into the Cossack squats here, but if you don't have those, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, okay, now we're going to go into a swivel hip. This is really nice after opening hips up with that external rotation from the sumo and the Cossack squats. These are really nice to bring that internal rotation piece in. Now we're going to go back out with the hips into a butterfly. I'm going to pull myself down and do a few reps here. I feel like kind of like a creaky door hinge, sometimes a little bit of movement really does help open up. And then I'm going to finish with a static stretch. So from here, just breathe out a few times, see if you can get a little bit deeper into it. Now I know this is stretching, but a little bit of activation never hurts either, so keeping your core really tight, you're going to try and keep your forearms vertical in the scapular plane, so that's about 45 degrees, and reach up. If you do these right, you can get a very specific burn right in the middle of your rhomboid, so that's kind of the back muscles in the middle of your back. These are really, really nice. Again, now we're just going to reach out to the side, try and get that contraction and then that retraction as you come through. So now we're going to push the shoulder blades apart and then pull them as far back as we can. Again, the goal here is to try and keep the forearms vertical. As you see, my hands actually coming forward a little bit, so that's not ideal. I'd rather have a bit more external rotation. So now I'm going to pull into that squat. If you can't get the heels all the way down, that's fine. We just have to do this from the toes. But ideally we go all the way from that heels down position, reaching forward to knees touching the floor. It's a really nice stretch for the big toe and the Achilles, as well as just the whole lower body. You should be able to hold a squat here pretty comfortably if your mobility is in check. So now we're going to go into a side bridge and reach. So the leg that's on the top, you're going to bend that at 90 degrees and then pull up and over. I like the straight leg on the bottom with this one because you get that nice line between the hand that's extending and the foot that's on the floor. You get a really, really nice stretch through the thoracic and the obliques with this. And it's just an all-round good exercise. If you struggle with these, it'll probably be your shoulder strength actually that's holding you back. Yeah, if you can't reach all the way over like that, that's absolutely fine. Eventually, as you get better at these, and your chest opens up, you should be able to reach further back and come through more like that. Now the scap strokes here, so we're going to go in a circle as we come around. So not only are we pinching together and pulling back, you're actually going to roll those scapula as well. Now we're going to kick back, get a nice easy stretch through the back and the shoulders, come forward and then reload that stretch. It's really, really nice, especially for the lats, and for me the teres major is actually very, very tight, and these do help to open out. So from here you're going to roll into a planche position and then push back into a downward dog, squeeze the quads to try and keep those legs straight. Now you see I've gone all the way over, rolled over my toes onto the back of my feet. That's quite advanced, so if you just want to keep your toes on the floor and lean forward just a little bit, that's absolutely fine. I mean, this is quite fun to work up to, but especially if you're on a hard surface, don't feel like you need to go there straight away. Now from here we're just going to take one leg at a time and walk back and forth. This is really good for kind of flossing out the nerves in the back of the knees, so it's that sciatic nerve and the calves as well. A lot of supposed hamstring tightness is really those two things. So now we're going to stretch out the shoulders while activating the glutes. You see here I'm getting up to parallel, or maybe even slightly over. Try and keep the knees together, so don't let the knees flare out with this one. Same thing, now we're going to hold it, kick one leg out and then the other. It's actually really challenging on the core to try and keep this stable, and you should feel those glutes really activating to keep that. So it's kind of oblique and glutes together, and obviously we're still getting that stretch in the shoulders for the shoulder extension there. Well, next up we're going to do a little bit of a hamstring stretch, a little active hip flexor too, and working that anterior oblique sling. So we're trying to connect it's our right hand to our left foot. These feel really natural and quite easy. So if you struggle with doing them together, these twisting ones actually tend to feel a little bit easier. I'm keeping my hand on the floor there for balance as well. If you're feeling really fancy, you can try it without that, but I feel like I kind of pivot off of that a little bit easier. So now we're going to bring the hands to the side and we're going to use our abs and hip flexors to pull ourselves in. You notice that my back never arches, it just only ever goes to flat, so that's ideal here. So as you come down, squeeze the quads and then pull them all the way in, and then we're going to do 10 pulses just to finish. This is really nice because it just gives you a little bit of a burn on the abs before we move on to the next exercise. So here, now we've worked those abs, we're going to stretch them out. So kind of using your upper back as a pivot point, you're going to bridge those hips up and feel a stretch through the abdominal muscles. Not very hard stretch to hold, and feels really, really nice, especially after doing those sit-ups. Now we're going to go pick the feet just up off the floor, and we're going to go side to side and touch those ankles. A little bit to work on that active side to side mobility in the spine. Now, I used to do a lot of Muay Thai, and this is actually part of the Y crew, but I really like this as a stretch because it kind of hits the hips from a lot of different angles. So you're going to come forward, and the goal here is to stretch my left hip flexor. And then I'm going to sink back, and now I'm stretching the hamstring of the right leg. So this is a really good progression towards front splits. However, if you're moving back here, starting from that bent knee position, you might only get halfway, but you should feel that really specifically in the hamstring if you do this right. We're going to do 5 pulses and 5 reps on each side. So that's 5 at the bottom and 5 at the top. So we're spending quite a lot of time here, but it's a great exercise, so, that's good. So squeeze the right glute as I'm coming forward here. That's going to stop me overextending my back, and keep that flex on the hip flexor. Another thing to watch out for here is turning out. You want to try and keep those hips nice and square and level as you're pushing forward. The little tendency might be to want to turn that out to ease off some pressure. You notice I've got my leg in between my hands, and that's just going to help me go back and forth. Okay, just to finish here, we're going to kind of end where we started. We're going to do these big open Jefferson curls to back reaches. So nice and smooth, focus on folding that spine one vertebrae at a time. So we're going to close it all the way off and then open it all the way up. Good. So from here, I think I just do that last one really, really slowly to focus on that spine movement. And that's it. That's a little 10-minute stretch series. Covers pretty much everything, and I hope you enjoy it.